Hey guys, welcome back to Clutch Kit Garage. Today we're going to be doing brakes on the E46 wagon. Let's go. Now this is the same way you're going to do your front and rear brakes, disc brakes anyway, on a BMW E46, E30 or E36. All those chassis are very, very similar, so you can pretty much use this as a guide across all those chassis. Alright guys, so we're going to want to remove this little clip here. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of press it to the rear, grab a hold of it with some pliers, rotate it back, and it comes right off. So next we want to remove the dust caps on the slide pins. They pop out by hand, or you can use a pair of pliers. And you're going to use, I'm using an H7 Allen key socket. Crack loose, and then before you back yourself into a corner with the shock, you can usually get them out by hand if the previous guy lubricated them well. This bottom one you don't really have to worry about backing into a corner, it's got enough room. Look at all that dried up pin grease that's on there. We're going to be cleaning that off. Next, you're going to want to get a pry bar, stick it behind the top of the caliper and the bottom and kind of work it off. They may not all play nice like this one did. And then these, I don't know if you can see, your pads pop right out. Might have to do the outside one first. There we go. And then next, you're going to have these two bolts. You're going to use a size 16 socket. I prefer to use a 1/2-inch ratchet because it's got a little more gusto. Break that loose. These bolts hold on the bracket, and you're going to need to remove this bracket if you want to get the rotor off. Alright guys, so next you're going to want to remove the rotor, and to do that you've got a H6 Allen key set screw here that's just holding the rotor to the hub. Going to go ahead and back that off. Shouldn't be on there very difficult. Ready to catch the rotor. You may have to give it some motivation with a hammer. They don't always come off this easy. My rotors are okay. I'm going to be replacing them at some other date, but for display purposes, this is what you're supposed to do. And you're going to take your new rotor out of the box, take it out of the plastic, spray it down with brake clean, and wipe it down with a rag. Make sure all the shipping oil is off of it. Then you're going to want to do the whole thing in reverse. Next, you're going to take your brake caliper bracket and its bolts. I like to put some never sees on them, just a little dab, because I work on this car often enough that I don't want to have to be fighting rusty bolts. So just a little bit. Some people say not to do this, some people do. It's personal preference. I like to put it on there because I'm in here often enough that I'm not worried about it. Again, take your 16 ratchet. So when you're going to put your caliper back on, sometimes they need collapsed. And I like to take the inside pad and put it back in. Okay. And then get a C-clamp. I take a big C-clamp and I put it on the back side of the caliper and the pad. And I just wind it hand tight. And if you have a decent caliper, it'll go right back in and it'll compress like this one is. And don't wind the crap out of it, otherwise you'll scar up your the surface of your pad. Just enough to collapse it. You're going to take your second one. Oh, this might actually be easier if you put it on the bracket. There we go. So there's a lot of this goo and gunk. It's basically just solidified slide pin grease. And you want to clean that off with some brake clean. And then wipe it down with a rag. Make sure you get all of the old stuff off. So have a nice clean pin. It's important to make sure your pins are clean and then well greased, and that will maintain even slide or even brake pad wear. And that way you're getting the full use out of your brakes. And then I put a small dab on the threads of Never Sees, just a little bit. Then I like to take and roll the threads together. This isn't an official method, this is just what I'm doing. There you go. Before you put your slide pins in, it's important to put some slide pin grease on them. Make sure it's all the way around coated. And like I mentioned before, it's important to do this because this will ensure that this caliper, when it's compressing this rotor and these pads, that it'll evenly wear the pads and it won't get stuck on one side and the piston side only will wear. This way you're using the full strength of your braking. And you're not prematurely going to go through pads. Do the same for the next. Make sure it's all lubricated up. And don't forget to put on your caps. And lastly, you're going to have the clip to your caliper. The easiest way I've found to put it in is you start in here, slide that up, and then kind of cantilever it over. Boom. Now you're in. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And turn on your notifications in case you don't have them on. That way you know when we're going to be dropping the next video or the next DIY. Thanks, guys.